Today I want to give you an update on our fundraiser with shout outs to our amazing supporters. I also want to tell you about my trip to Chivo Pets, furniture shopping, my kids' 4th week of school, highway construction, finding my asthma medication, and why was I at the school on Saturday? Stay tuned to find out. Buenas tardes, mis amigos, y benedicciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if we're already old friends. Okay, so what on earth have I been up to this week? We've been very quiet and mysterious. Well, not really. I just been super busy running around, and I had a bit of a sore throat, so it was kind of hard to talk on videos, but I was still able to shoot some good footage for you to see what we've been up to this week. So let me tell you. First, I want to start out by giving you an update on our fundraiser. I want to start by giving a shout out to the amazing people who donated since my last video. I was completely floored by your generosity. Thank you so much. Starting with our Give Send Go fundraiser, we're now at $1,175. So to add on to what we had last week, we had $300 from Mirna Henriquez, $20 listed as being from El Salvador, $215 from Leia, $20 from Evelyn Vasquez, $20 from Anonymous Giver, $20 from Adam Carranza, and on my super thanks, I got $9.99 from M6 Medina, and on my Blink wallet, I have under invoice $12.25. For my Blue wallet, I still have nothing, but again, it's on chain and there might be some fees there, so that might not be worth it. If you want to give through Bitcoin, use the Blink wallet because that's a Lightning wallet and it'll be much cheaper to send money that way. Last week was $755.09, and now we're up to $1,372.33. So that has almost doubled since last week. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing. Our goal is $10,000, so we're still on our way. And if you want to donate, please use the links in the description below. Now, as some of you noticed from a post I put out, we are trying to get some custom furniture made. So we've gone to a few places and given them my drawings and asked what the cost would be or if they can even do it. So on Monday, our week started out by us driving all the way up to a furniture place north of Aguilares, which took us like an hour and a half to drive out there because it's not that there was much traffic. It was just a bit of a winding road. It's, the road wasn't in perfect condition, so I had to slow down quite a bit for different things, tumultuos or speed bumps and potholes and whatnot. But actually the traffic was amazing because there was almost nobody on the road. We passed many furniture makers along the way to going to this guy's shop. And now this guy I'd reached out to on WhatsApp. He'd given me the address, and so we were definitely on our way up there. There was another guy I reached out to, and I thought they might be the same store, but now I'm not sure because the location was almost in the same spot, and there must have been at least 5 or 6 other furniture makers along the way. So when we were negotiating the price for the pieces that I wanted made, one is an entertainment center for the TV, and one is a china cabinet. I did mention when he gave us the price, so maybe we can go, sort of price shopping on the other places. And this is something interesting he talked to us about. He showed us a cabinet that somebody had gotten made at another place, and he said the wood has to be dried for at least 2 months before you can build with it because it will shrink. And this cabinet he was showing us was made by another cabinet maker, and it was an awful shape because all the wood had shrunk, and this couple that had it made somewhere else brought it to him to fix. So they knew that he was, a good craftsman and he did things the right way. And I noticed from the tables he had there that they were made very well. Even our own table that, I love, don't get me wrong, it was a great price and I love it. The tabletop itself is shrinking and there are cracks developing between the boards. I think there's 4 boards across the top and there's some cracks developing between them. Now it gives it a rustic look, so it's not that I don't like it, but if I wanted it to be done right, maybe taking the tabletop off, cutting down between all the boards and then re-gluing them together with some biscuits maybe just to make it stronger. I kind of like the rustic look, so it's not like I don't like it, but if I wanted to fix it, maybe he could do that too because he does that kind of work as well as making his own custom furniture. So what we negotiated was $1,000 for the 3-piece unit for the TV. So it's 2 tall cabinets, a short cabinet for the TV to sit on, or the TV is going to hang on the wall above it, I guess. And the other one was $600 for the china cabinet. So for $1,600, he's going to get those 4 pieces made for us. He said it's going to be about 2 months because again, the wood has to dry. So also that same day after we left there, driving an hour and a half there, driving an hour and a half plus back because we went past our house and into Santa Tecla. We went into Santa Tecla for a few things. One of the things we went in there for was to look at a pharmacy that supposedly had my asthma medication. So I have a special disc medication called Advair. And when I first came here, I had 2 with me and I would take it once a day, and I had to start rationing it out because I've been here almost 6 months on these 2 inhalers that that should have only lasted really a month each. In Canada, I was taking it twice a day. When I got here, I only took it once a day, and I found it was okay. And then I started rationing it every other day. So, I did notice some effects by not having it as consistently. So I was looking for a substitute. I went on Facebook to an expat group and asked if there's other asthmatics out there who are on this medication and what they've been taking as a substitute, because I was told they didn't have this medication here when I asked at the pharmacies. And somebody said, oh, they do have this asthma medication here. It's just called something different. Now, Advair is the brand name, and in Canada, it went generic, and I couldn't remember what the generic name was, but they have it renamed something else here, and it's the same generic medication. So I was able to find it on a couple of different pharmacy websites. So we were just stopping by, checking out some pharmacies, see if they had it, and we happened to find it. Now, this pharmacy actually, on the box, it says it was $74.55, but I only paid $51.44. I don't know why there was this discount, but that price is sort of comparable to what it would be in Canadian for that generic one. So I feel like it's about the same, and it's the exact same medication. Actually, what I did is I got the higher dosage because mine was for 250 milligrams. I got the 500 milligrams because if I am going to take it only once a day, or even if I miss a dose, because that does happen, I shouldn't notice any bad effects immediately. I actually want to get the higher dose for that reason. There's this picture of this beautiful building across the street from the pharmacy. I had to take a picture of it because I love old buildings, and there was a poster in the front in the corner where the door would be, I guess, showing what it used to look like, or maybe somebody's going to restore it and that's what it will look like. But I really hope to do because it's such a beautiful building. I love old style buildings. And right next to the pharmacy was the dollar store, and I had to go into the dollar store to get some stuff for the mosquitoes. So I got the mesh curtains to put on our doors. I also picked up some mesh for the windows, which we haven't put up yet, for the windows that don't have any screens, as well as the Vicks Vapor Rub. And all these things are to kind of keep the mosquitoes away from me. If you hadn't seen the video I put out on going to the public healthcare system about my bites, you should definitely go see that here. The traffic on the way home from Santa Tecla was as bad as it usually is at that time of the day. And for the 12 kilometers we had to travel, it was going to take us 56 minutes. This is the same construction that is in the highway that goes to our kids' school. And they actually had some new lanes on this highway opened up yesterday when we were on it. So in some parts of it, it's just about completed. I think it's 6 lanes across in some places. It could be more because there's still a bit of a division there, so they might be able to squeeze in one more lane out of that. But that's really going to be fantastic for the traffic once it is all opened up. And of course, as they're opening up the lanes, they're getting closer and closer to getting to the kids' school, where they're going to lose the parking lot entirely to this highway project. Here's some video footage of what they're doing to make that wider and to prevent any landslides. It's really amazing the amount of work they're doing, and I know it's taken, I think, a couple of years already, but some of it is already getting really close to being completed. And I hope to be able to get the funds raised by the end of March so we can present it to the principal, or maybe, somebody suggested we talk to the mayor of San Juan Pico. So that's something we're going to be looking into doing as well, and making sure that everything is on board and any permits that we need are ready. I don't know what the school's already done on that, so it's something I need to talk to the principal about. But, maybe I can work directly with the contracting companies that are doing the work in the parking lot and cutting the hole in the wall, putting the gate up, putting the gravel down for the pad for the parking, and maybe I can work directly with them and manage the funds that way, just to kind of give the principal a little less work on his plate, because I was a great project manager in my last career that I had in the Canadian federal government, so I think this is something I could totally take on as well. Well, we'll see how that goes. Oh, and the last thing on Monday's shopping trip was a trip to Vidri's. One of the things we wanted to get was one of those powerful fans that you put iced water in. So it's like kind of like fake air conditioning in a way that it blows the air across the cold water. It lowers the temperature in our bedroom. That's the goal, so I can maybe at least keep a sheet on myself overnight to prevent any mosquitoes that happen to be in the room from biting me. That's all to prevent me from going back to the hospital again to get any more steroids or whatnot. And we also picked up a few mosquito zappers at Vidri's as well. We put those around in our bedroom and in the kids' bedroom just to zap any mosquitoes that happen to get in there at night. It sort of has a little black light inside it, so when all the lights are off, hopefully the mosquitoes are attracted to that light and then they get zapped. I noticed in the kids' one there was already 3 dead bugs in there, like a housefly and a couple of mosquitoes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Sunday. Before that, I had a lady coming by actually bringing me some citronella essential oil, also to prevent mosquitoes from coming in. And at the moment she arrived, I just noticed that my big orange cat, was bleeding on the floor. So I didn't get to talk with her much because I had to get back and look after the cat. I cleaned his wounds. It was actually, I noticed afterwards, actually on both sides of his tail, but I only noticed the one big wound on the one side. I think, again, he got caught in the razor wire that's on top of the wall between the neighbor's house and our house. It looks like it just got poked in with this razor wire. And I noticed there's one on the other side afterwards, but I don't think it was more like a scratch, I think, not an actual hole. So on Tuesday, I went back to Chivo Pets with my big orange cat. Now I have a little bit of a video footage here, but but I was told once I got seated inside that I couldn't take any more videos, so that was fine. Back at Chivo Pets with another cat who's had a barbed wire incident, it looks like. 2 days ago he had a hole in his side. I was treating it, but it looks like it's infected now and it's hot. So we are here on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and the place is packed. Beautiful full moon, looks like. But I gotta tell you that the whole process has changed a lot. I don't know if it's because when they triaged my cat, it wasn't as bad as my first cat I took in there, or because it was pretty busy. It was actually at 8:30 at night. We went there thinking, oh, this is a great time to go. Nobody will be there. Well, the place was packed. But even all in all, we were only in there maybe an hour. I think I was out by 9:30. We were home around 10 o'clock. But the thing is, they triaged him. They looked at the hole. I told them I had been cleaning it out. She said we didn't need stitches. She said it wasn't infected because there's some pus in it. But they didn't clean it again, and they just took him in to weigh him and brought him back out to me. And I waited for 20 minutes for him to write what they call the recipe, and had down he was going to be on some pain meds and some antibiotics, and I needed a certain soap to clean his wound and some bandages and some cream. Now, I already had some cream left over from when Grebo was hurt, and I still actually had some of the same antibiotics because when Grebo was hurt, we went a couple of days and then they decided to give him stitches. And when they gave him the stitches, they gave him an injection of antibiotics and told me to stop using the oral antibiotics. So I still had some of those left over. But when we got back on Tuesday, it was really late at night. So on Wednesday, I reached out to the pet store that we had gotten the Elizabethan collar for Grebo from. And I reached out about the meds that I still needed because we went to a drugstore that night. Of course, there was only the 24-hour ones open. And they only had the soap, which actually is like soap you clean medical utensils with. I put some on the cat and it's a thick soap. And I thought, okay, now I need to take a wet rag and clean it. So I'm still using the peroxide instead of the soap because I don't find that's really useful unless you're going to give the cat a bath or something. I don't know how you're supposed to use this soap. And I can't really put bandages on it because it's right at the base of his tail and there's no way to keep it on. And even with the cone on his head, the Elizabethan collar, he can still sort of bend around and reach some of that to lick. So I am using the cream on it. I'm hoping he's not getting a lot of it ingested. And I'm giving him the painkillers and the antibiotics that we got from the pet store. They actually do deliveries. So they came by 1:30 on Tuesday with the medication that I needed. And yeah, he's doing great. I just noticed the other day that there actually was some scratches on the other side of his tail. It wasn't just the one side. So I really think he got his whole tail kind of hooked there on some razor wire and jumped or yanked it out. I don't know. Ooh. Sounds so painful thinking about it. But anyway, he's on the mend. He's very extra friendly on these pain meds. He's like super affectionate now. He already was a very affectionate cat. Now he's like super affectionate. It's kind of funny watching him. So I'm going to talk about visitors, and I need to go back in time a little bit because I think it was around the end of November, early December, I was reached out to by somebody who watched our channel, and they were from here, but they had lived in Canada for 30 years, and then they moved back a couple of years ago, and they invited us out to lunch on a Saturday before Christmas. So we went out to visit them. Great guys, amazing people, had a really good time. And then after that, we were reached out to by another couple. He was from Canada, she was from here, but they lived in Canada again for so many years, came here and retired, and they actually came to visit us. We were going to meet for lunch, but it was the day that my eye got bitten by the mosquito. My eye was like swollen shut. I'm not going outside. So they actually came here with some Chinese food for us, and we had a good talk. And then last week, a lady reached out to us also from Canada who was on a scouting trip here. We met her somewhere for lunch, and we actually brought her back to our house because we got some groceries after lunch, took a cab back to our place, brought her here to show her what you kind of get for the price range that we have so she could see our house in person. And then I think it was later on that day, we had another couple from the United States that have reached out to us that are building a house here, and they just happened to be here just checking on the progress. And I think she said she's moving in a week or two, and they wanted to check on the house, see if it was ready. And they actually came by to visit us, and we talked about the stuff she would need for immigration. Her husband was from here, but they lived in the States, and she was from Puerto Rico, and she's coming with her mom. So we're talking about the documentation that she would need to be able to become a temporary resident here. So all of that to say, on Thursday morning, when I woke Willem up, which I did not have a lot of sleep that night, I woke up at 5 in the morning. I was up until I think 8:30 in the morning after that, and I fell back to sleep just in time, for the alarm to go off again for Willem to be woken up. I just woke Willem up. I was half asleep and the doorbell rings. And I'm like, okay, jump out of bed again in my pajamas. I'm going to be known as the person in El Salvador that always wears their pajamas because it seems like everyone comes to the house at a time when I'm not dressed in my dresses and stuff. So the doorbell rings. I jump out of bed. I go to see who's at the gate, and it's a guy speaking English to me. He's from here. Him and his wife had lived in LA for a while, and he's from this complex, and either he recognized our house because, I completely doxed myself, or maybe he asked at the gate who these Canadians were or something. Anyway, he came by to say if there's anything we needed, to give him a call. I got his phone number, and he said he'd like to have us over for lunch, and told me his wife speaks English too, so that's great. We'll have somebody to talk to. But I just noticed there's so many people here that just want to help us out. And it's sort of like we're the go-to people for the, the boots in the ground people, for the ones who want to move here to get all the information. And for all the people who came before us who already kind of moved back, we're like the welcome to El Salvador. Do you need any help? I'm here to help you. And it's just been amazing, the reception that we've been getting from the people here. So thank you so much to everyone who's reached out to us. We have our email address, youtube@hagenaars.com. If you want to reach out to us that way and ask any questions, we're here to help you, whatever you need. Now, over a week ago, I reached out to the school's principal and I told him that I'd be, willing to come in on Saturdays after, like, Willem goes in on Saturdays, he's done at 10:30. So I said, after the school's done on Saturday around 10:30, I'd be willing to come in and teach English to anyone who's interested in learning. I told him I was available as early as February 8th, but the day before he reached out to me and said it wasn't organized yet, so we'll do it the next weekend, which was this past weekend, which was yesterday. So on Friday, I reached out to him again to ask what time I would have to come, because I was thinking around 10:30 to maybe 11:30, and he said to come for 9 o'clock. I thought, okay, I'm pretty sure the kids are still in class at 9 o'clock, but I didn't ask too many questions. So I showed up yesterday around 8:45. I was told to find a certain teacher. We found that teacher. She brought us to the classroom. So I went in there and I started teaching English, and my friend Stan came with me. He was doing some translation because I asked them at the beginning what was their language level, really good English, or really bad English. And somebody had said, oh, I'm in the middle, but a lot of them were really just beginners. So I did a bit of a lesson, and I thought we had an hour, but at around the 40-minute mark, Stan had gone out and come back, and he'd said, oh, the teacher's ready to come back in the class. And, oh, by the way, you have another class to teach, 2 40-minute classes to teach for these kids. So the first class was 38 kids and the second class was 35 kids. So it ends up being 73 kids that I taught in total for these 2 40-minute lessons. Now, I did talk to the principal afterwards because I was assuming that these are kids that wanted to learn English, and it didn't seem like they were all that interested. So I think my class was more or less yesterday as a sample to let the kids know that I can come to teach some English, like I'm just volunteering, and it may be after school like I first suggested at 10:30. There were quite a few that were interested. There was actually a couple of kids that came up to me afterwards, told me that they do English somewhere else also for free on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And one of the things the teacher had said when we first walked in the room was she said, does anyone here want to work for a call center? And a bunch of kids raised their hands, and she said, well, you need to know English. So there are quite a few that are interested in learning. I don't think I need to be able to teach 73 kids every Saturday because I don't think they were all interested. But I think because of the different language levels, if we are going to do it sort of at 10:30 after the regular school program's done, we might divide the group into 2 and have my husband teach one and teach the other for basically the basics and then the intermediate levels. So I think that might be better because where I was starting, I guess there was one girl kind of bored because she already spoke a lot better English than I was starting out with, but some of the kids didn't say anything in English at all. So I really need to kind of start at the basics. So it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again. I'm actually using Chat GPT to help come up with a curriculum for me to be teaching. And if anyone has a good curriculum out there, maybe if it's free, if you can send it my way, that's great too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again. So that's why I was at school on Saturday. So my kids have completed their 4th week in public school. Now I have a lot of comments. A lot of comments about why do you have your kids in public school? Now, some are just suggestions and some are outright criticisms. So we chose to put our kids in public school because we want our children to become Salvadorians and to live just like the locals live here. That's part of it. We didn't move to El Salvador to become colonizers or to live like elites. We came to be part of the community. We came here to give whatever we could to make El Salvador great and to give all that we can and to live a modest life. Part of that is learning the language. And what better way to learn a language than to be completely immersed in it? So that is one of the reasons why we have our kids in public school, because private schools teach in English for the majority of the time. So Willem also had a sore throat this week, and I think it was on Monday he came home and he said he was feeling ill. So Tuesday morning I woke him up. I said, are you wanting to go to school today, or do you want me to let the principal know you're sick? And he said, no, I definitely want to go because I don't want to fall behind. What a great work ethic he has. I'm very proud of him for that. Lawrence is doing well too, and he has his phone privileges back, and he's able to do translation at school again. And he found out that there actually is, they provide meals at school every day. I think it's rice and beans. And he didn't know what they were doing when they brought the food around until he had his phone back and he could translate with somebody to say, what is this food and, how much does it cost? And found out that it's just free. So, the school is doing amazing with the kids. I feel that this is a great school. Annika did not receive any more gifts since I spoke to the boy's mom. That's fine. Even for Valentine's Day, I thought maybe he would give her a card, but no, they're still boyfriend and girlfriend apparently. And she gave him one of the pictures that we took for their student IDs. She gave him one of those little pictures, so he has something to look at home and to show his mom, I guess. Yeah, they're getting along well, and I don't have to worry now about where he's getting all the money for all these gifts. GJ has been going over the kids' work each day with them, getting them to translate stuff into English and and write it down because that's really important. Practicing handwriting is a key feature for my kids. I think it's not stressed enough nowadays when you have the age of computers. And GJ also has a master's in mathematics, so any math help he's helping the kids with. Willem comes in with a few questions, but Lawrence he's really in-depth working with, doing grade 9 math, and even with Annika he's doing some grade 9 math with Annika. So they're all doing well in that regard. And we actually started our own little reading program after school with the kids too, because we have a lot of books with us, a lot of English books with us, and we have a whole bunch of adventure style books and classics for the kids. So we all started a half-an-hour reading program, so we're all reading some books right now, so of course the kids can keep up with their English as well as learning Spanish. Now we did homeschool the kids for 2 years. So when people say, well, your kids are not going to get a good quality education because the public schools suck, or, whatever the comments and feedback are, trust me, we don't leave all the kids learning to the school. We're responsible parents too, and we feel that we can train and teach our kids just as good or better than the school system. That's why we homeschooled. But the school system is really important for them to have friends and to learn the language. So we're still doing our own part at home, and we feel that the kids are getting a very well-rounded education. Now, I don't know exactly how the school system will be. It's only been 4 weeks. Maybe it is not as good as people say, but you know what? I know that the kids are going to learn Spanish, they're going to learn computer science, they're going to learn science and math and English, because we're going to help them learn those things as well. So we're going to just add to their knowledge from whatever they're learning in public school. Now, I want to give an update on our banking situation, because I mentioned this, I think it was 2 months ago now, that we were looking for a bank. So we had comments on good and bad on probably every bank here in El Salvador. We did decide to go with Banco Agricola because it was the one closest to us at the mall, and our landlord was already using that bank, so we had to go to that bank to put money in her account, and we know there's an English-speaking man in there, and they always treat us very well. We also are going to open up another bank account, probably with Banco Cuscatlan, and who knows, maybe even Davienda or somewhere else. So we're not going to limit ourselves to just the one bank. However, if you're coming here and opening up a bank account, one thing we did learn is that you cannot get a wire transfer for 3 months. So I can't move any large sums of money from my bank account in Canada to here until April. So we're still using the Chivo ATM to take money out through Bitcoin. So buying Bitcoin in Canada, taking it out from the Bitcoin wallet at the Chivo ATM. So just so you know, if you're going to get a bank account here, you might want to do that as soon as you can, as soon as you get your temporary residency card, because it will be months before you can actually move money. This is all the anti-money laundering laws that they have here. Unlike Canada, which is like the money laundering capital of the world or something, they are very strict on it here in El Salvador. So just keep that in mind. So on that note, I'll say goodbye until our next video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I read every comment. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Don't forget to hit the like button.